Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our meeting today. And it's good to see all your shiny faces. And we've got a lot going on. If we had more than 3 doors, we would use them, but we're just going to shove a lot of stuff in a few doors. So welcome, everybody. It's our vision. And I think we're going to hear about a lot of things that are happening that are trying to meet that vision. So be a good day. And also our values, our diversity. I want to read this today because I think sometimes you have to hear it out loud. Rotary values diversity and celebrates the contributions of people of all backgrounds, regardless of their age, ethnicity, race, color, abilities, religion, socioeconomic status, culture, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. So something to keep in mind in our work and in our relationships. We're going to introduce some guests here today. I am looking, and I know I see you here, so we'll start. Dave, you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm David Simmer from the Rotary Club of Sedona. I'm immediate past district governor of District 5495, which is the northern and central Arizona. It's the Phoenix area and everything north in Arizona. So it's great to be here today. I'll be talking to you about the Navajo Water Project.
Welcome, welcome. And I'm looking to see if we have, I know Barb is coming, but I don't see her yet. So
I'm here, Maggie.
There
Hi, Maggie.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. I should have had you as a past district governor introduce yourself first, but I hadn't seen you, so please go ahead.
Don't worry, it's not formal. It's Friday morning and it's 7 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. It's really nice to be with you. Again, it's very exciting to be able to listen to David tell us a great story about the project that they're doing. So I'm really excited that he's going to be able to share it with you. And it's good to see everyone again. And I hope hope everybody stays well, stays healthy, and has a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Barb. I also see Anders Johnson. Would you check?
Yes, hello. I'm with Arcata High Interact.
Well, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Yeah.
Your co-interactors are going to wish that they were here today, but you're the lucky one. Does anyone see anybody else? I don't want to miss anybody. I see somebody's chatting, but, oh, okay, good. All right, well, great. So welcome, everyone. And we're going to jump right into it. Door number 1 is club stuff. Jessica, do you want to tell us what's happening?
Yeah, thanks, Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
So just a real quick save the date, everyone, because I know Thanksgiving's coming, etc. Our Sunrise Swednesday event for December is going to be on December 9th. And it's going to be a club Christmas party. So wear your Christmas shirt, sweater, whatever, lights. But the other is, if anyone is interested or has a story about customs or celebrations of this sort of season in other cultures, that we're hoping that we can share a little bit of that. And for those of you who are at the November Sunrise Wednesday, I'm really sorry about the Zoom bomb that we had. We have figured out how we should be able to avoid that in the future. So look forward to seeing you all on the screen on December 9th, and we'll send a link out later about that. So it'll be like 5:15.
Great. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, Maggie.
And I wanted to announce that our PR committee chair is going to be Barbara Browning. She stepped up to fill that for us. I appreciate it because right now I've been doing it a little bit, and it's time for someone else to be on television if we need it. Although I don't mind doing it, but anyway. And so Barbara will be, so when there's things going on, let her know anything, nothing is too small. Barbara will take, if there's something our club is doing, let Barbara know, and she'll get the word out, and she'll work with Ed to make sure things get on our website. So thank you, Barbara, for stepping up to that. Yay. So AJ, I'm looking for you. Are you here?
Here.
There you go. I just can't, I can see you all, but there you are. Do you want to report to the club what the nominating committee has come up with?
Yes. So with much deliberation and much gratefulness, as a past president, I know how much it takes to take this on. So for our 22 and 23 Rotary year, our nominee is Vanessa Griffin.
Yay! Good work.
Yes. She's so engaged and involved and so generous with her space and her time. So looking forward to supporting Vanessa through her year.
Thank you, AJ, and congratulations, Vanessa, and thank you for stepping up. It's perfect. I'm really happy, and I know I remember being in your position and kind of when to make that step forward and saying, and it's really hard because you're a year and a half away, and it's really hard to stand here at this moment and say, oh sure, a year and a half, I know exactly what I'll be doing, and I know exactly how I'll have time to make it happen. But sometimes you just have to take the step, and things will work out, and you have a great club here behind you, so you're not doing it all alone. So I'm grateful, and I think it'll be fine. None of us know what's going to happen tomorrow anymore, yet let alone a year and a half. So and as you said, you can't break Rotary. I'm trying, but you can't. It just doesn't break. All right. Thank you, Vanessa. So the other thing we need to do today is we need to take nominations from the floor. We have 2 open board positions starting July 1st, 2021. So starting in Ian's year. So I'm opening the floor, so to speak, to any nominations from the floor. The board is also working on this, but we want to put the opportunity out there to all of our members. If any of you would like to join the board, this is a chance to speak up or forever hold your P's and Q's. Anybody want to nominate themselves or someone else? Okay, I knew that was going to happen. So that means a couple of you will wake up one morning and find out you're on the board, and we'll just we'll just surprise you. No, that's not true. That's okay. If you think about it, or you didn't want to step up in front of everybody and say that, what we're going to do is we will have elections on the 18th in December, our last meeting in December. So there's still some time to think about it, and to also get some of your questions answered about board roles and responsibilities. And you could ask me. Our board consists right now of AJ, me, Ian, Vanessa, Sophie, Howard, Nick, Claire, and Steve, and Tom. So any of those people can answer any of your questions if you would like to talk to any of them, and then let me know if you would like to step forward.
See the chat, Maggie.
Somebody chatting to me. Oh, good. We have a couple nominations. So we have nomination Scott Hunt. Is Scott here? Are we nominating people who aren't here now? Is that what you're doing? And And that's always the way to go. And then we also have a nomination for Crystal Perez. Crystal, are you here? Yes, she is here. So good, great. I will jot these down, and then we will take, again, any other nominations that come, and then you'll all get to vote. You'll all get to vote in a month. Okay, Sarah, somebody has nominated Sarah. Great. And so all three of those people, if that's not something you're interested in, you should definitely let me know before we vote on you, because, you know, that's great. Good. Those are great nominations. Thank you, everybody. All right. So let me go back over here. We did this last time, but there's a few people who weren't here. And if they're here now, I think I see Stephanie. Do you want to tell us what happened on your birthday? It sounds like you had a good time.
Yeah, I was at a Arcata Chamber Mixer. I had won a free night stay at the Benbow Inn. So I stayed in county and went down to the Benbow Inn for a couple of nights and did nothing but relax. I read a book and sipped wine by the fire, and then I spent the whole day doing a paint by numbers painting. I'm not very artistic, so that was a challenge for myself, but it was really fun. And it was the big 4-0.
Ooh.
Visual aids. Steph, can we see your paint by number?
It's not fully completed, but.
You know, when I mentioned.
You guys see it? It'll
yeah.
soon be birds on branches, but it's all the background now.
Pretty. That is awesome.
You know, paint by
Something
numbers,
different.
they've had a renaissance, because I remember being in a art museum in Boston a year or so ago with my niece, who's about, well, she's 20 now. And I was looking at something and I made the joke about, wow, that, you know, I couldn't even do that with a paint by numbers, you know, and she looked at me and she's like, what the heck is that? And then, but now they're coming back again, yeah. And so, yeah, very cool, very cool. And Brandon, are you here? See Brandon. John, though, now you know what you did on your birthday.
Yes, I went to work. My nothing says I love you, Dad, like meat. My son Jack bought me a brisket for my birthday that I'm going to smoke this weekend.
All right, sounds good. And I wanted to do a shout out. I know we don't see Rob Macbeth here because he's a honorary member now. He was very active in the club and now he's an honorary member. But he's also a good investor because he bought 6 of our gift packages. So either he's buying them to give to people he loves, or he's going to turn around and sell them for more when we sell out and people really want these. So we'll get to that more. But if you know Rob, he's the guy, bought 6 of them. I bought 3, so I'm a good investor too. All right, we're going to move to our service door. It's full, jam-packed. I took the liberty of throwing a couple of non-club related things in here that I thought would be important for you all to know about. This is that St. Vincent is looking for volunteers to help prepare their food that they're going to be handing out on Thursday. If that's something you're interested in, there is the person to contact. And Amanda, could you type that into the chat for me before I go on so that it's there in case people want to do that? I may be going down to the Healy Senior Center in Redway to help them with their meals because I'm not getting together and cooking anything, certainly not cooking a turkey. So it's just something to think about. It's a harder time than usual for people who are living on the street or low income who've lost their jobs. It's a really hard time. So I think just being aware of that right now and doing what we can to help others. You got it, Amanda? Good. So,
Got it.
thank you. Great, thank you. Great. And then this one is a little self-serving. Well, so I'll pay $1. If you want to help enrich the lives of local older adults who are living in long-term care facilities, the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program is accepting cash donations and gift cards. They're going to buy gifts for people in the local skilled nursing facilities. And the people living there often don't have, some of them don't have family around who, and right now people are struggling to be able to even visit their loved ones in facilities. Even it was allowed. We're struggling to allow it indoors, and with the weather, it's really difficult. So the Ombudsman Program is stepping up and going to be collecting gifts. So if there's anybody interested in that, if you don't catch this, you can ask me and I can get you that information. And then our frontline worker thingamabob. Who'd like to update the club on what we need to do now with this one? Because it sounds like we need nominations. Is that correct? Dustin, are you going to talk about that? Or could you talk about this? Or who's talking? Who's talking?
Somebody's talking.
Somebody else want to talk today?
Go ahead, Dustin.
Go for it, Barb.
Okay. So Ed has created a page for us on our web page that I'll put in the chat. And everyone is free to go to that page and nominate a frontline worker to be entered into a drawing to win one of 20 gratitude baskets. We have our first nominee already, Patrick Johnson, who is out swabbing noses for UIHS. But we've got 15 bags coming from our club and 5 bags coming from the Mad River Rotary Club. Everything's all set up to, I need to just fix the link on the little flyer that I have. I'll send that out today for people to post on Facebook. Cam was doing a radio ad that's going to be going out. I know, Crystal, right? I totally love this idea. And the bags, again, AJ, that was AJ's idea to give the bags for our project. So the drawing will be held on December 4th, and winners will be announced on the 5th. And then we're going to be delivering bags to people at their place of work. And we're hoping that Maggie can be a part of that, and we'll be able to take pictures as we're delivering these goodie bags to people. See? Is that everything? Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, Barbara. Are we going to be recognizing or acknowledging all of the nominees with like a card or something?
So we're asking people to, when people nominate, we're not asking for a physical address, we're asking for email and text. And so we will be sending an email to everybody just acknowledging them, but we won't be sending any physical cards or anything. And we're asking for nominations for frontline workers in Northern Humboldt County.
All right. Thank you. It's moving along great. And when are we, is there a deadline for this?
The December 4th is the deadline for nominations. And yes, to Stephanie's question, you can nominate more than one person.
Great. Great. Thank you. Backpacks for kids. We need to chat about this a little bit. Was that going to be you, Lisa?
Yes, I would like to chat about that. So Backpack for Kids, I want to thank everyone that has stepped up and signed up this last couple months, packing and picking up the food and hosting it at your home. That's been wonderful. We have Stephanie, next week we're dark, but the following week, Stephanie Lane has signed up, and she could use some help packing, I believe, unless Stephanie, you already have that covered. I don't know if you're hosting at your house or not, but because I didn't see that. But if all fails, you can always bring it here and we can pack it here and work out the delivery. That's not a problem. I have 2 more slots for this just for December. Two more pickups in December, and then we go to the next group of our Rotary Club. So I would really like people to look at the Sign Up Genius. You're in that first. I'll send out a new list of the people that are in the fall program. And if you could step up for just the last 2 that are in December, that would be wonderful. And then I will send out the winter list just right before Christmas, so that then other people can sign up. But I'd really like to see more of our club getting involved in this. This is really a wonderful program, and it just warms your heart when you go down and you pick up the bags and see these people that, you know, have been working so hard to feed all these kids, and then you go to the schools and deliver, and just how they've got it so organized, but they really, really need our help. And so it would be really nice if everyone could step up and give a little bit.
Thank you, Lisa. It is important, and it's very, you know, it's kind of lonely if you pick up the bags and have to pack them all by yourself. That kind of feels like it's not how this club does things. So please, you know, please, when you know who's picking them up, reach out to that person and create a team. Because even if it's just 2 people doing it, it's still you're not all by yourself. So.
I like to say that it's a great little family activity, or your home pod activity. Doesn't really take that much time to do, but it is something that you can focus and you feel good about participating in. So take that opportunity. You only got a couple spots available to you, that fall group left, and so on. It's just a good thing to do.
And John will be sending out the Sign Up Genius. He sends it out weekly, so it's available there for you to sign up. And then Mike Pazian is helping immensely also in the program. So the 3 of us together are just trying to, you know, get it out there, get it all done. So that would be wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. Yes.
Maggie, this is Bryn. Could I say a few words real quick?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so thank you. I own Coldwell Banker Sellers Realty in Arcata, and we do an annual holiday party where we cram as many people into our building there as possible and all celebrate together. We're in our 50th year as a brokerage in Arcata, and obviously we're not going to be having our holiday party this year, which is kind of ironic being our 50th year. But my business partner Ellie and I have kind of been thinking of what we could do instead of that. And what we've decided is that we're going to take the budget we would normally spend on that party and make a donation through Rotary to Backpacks for Kids. So we're going to be donating $1,111.11 to Backpacks for Kids. And Ellie and I could maybe come at a later meeting and kind of talk about that a little bit more, but I wanted to just let you guys know, since we're on that topic, that that's what we've chosen to do this year. So hopefully that'll help out.
Wonderful.
That's awesome. I wanted to ring the bell, but I was afraid you'd all run it off and leave. But yes, that's a bell ringing moment. Thank you so much. That is awesome. That's going to really help because we are increasing our budget for Backpacks for Kids because of the need. So that will really help us fill that gap. Thank you so much.
And our 20 agents in my office, we also normally send invitations out to all of our past and present clients, real estate clients, and this
and there'll be some changes that we'll have to orient you to, but we're going to go out there unless we're not like the Postal Service. So, wow, that could be a loaded statement, but we're not like the Postal Service. So we're not going to be out in snow and sleet and dark of night. We are only going to be out in decent weather. So that's being organized by Community Service Committee, who had their meeting a couple nights ago.
Can I say something, Maggie?
Yeah.
That's also my birthday, so as a birthday present, I want y'all to show up to this and help clean up.
All right. That seems like a reasonable birthday present. And that's all you want for your birthday is a clean highway?
That's it. That's the one.
That's cool. Thank you so much. We'll do it.
On that day, Justice for Josiah, there's an event, a Justice for Josiah event. Charmaine Lawson, who is DJ's mom, always gathers coats for the cold. And so on that day on the Arcata Plaza from 10 to noon, we'll be collecting money and new jackets for the cold.
Ooh, so we have 2 events happening, and we encourage everybody to participate in one of those. Those are both, that's really important. Thanks for bringing that in, Rumi. So Terry, we talked about you doing a Polio Plus update, and then we didn't talk about it again. So I don't know if you're prepared for that. If not, we can hold off on it. But I did want you to, if you know the numbers, let people know what our final numbers were for our Polio Plus effort.
We donated over $2,000, and with other donations that we got beforehand, we have more than met our polio goal for this year. And so we'll let Bob Rogers know. Well, he'll see it on the report sooner than I could probably tell him, but the check will get there tomorrow for part of it. So I really appreciate everybody's generosity over those 2 meetings, the one that we had with him and then donating our final Friday proceeds to Polio Plus. We live in crazy times, and I know there are lots of demands on all of our discretionary income, if we have any discretionary income, and I really appreciate the generosity of this club. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Terry, and thank you everybody who participated. That really, what I did is I went to my Rotary Direct, and I just clicked. You go in there and you do a few clicks, and you can set up a monthly automatic donation too. So I'm doing $10 a month and join the Polio Plus Society by doing that. So I'm in 2 societies now. High society.
You're just a social girl, you are, Maggie.
And I don't even have to leave my home, which makes it awesome. Okay, we want to give a quick update on this. We've done a lot, but I thought we should remind everybody what's happening. And if you snooze, you might lose. Let's just put it that way. Lisa, do you want to share anything with this?
Yeah, so, excuse me. So as of yesterday, we've decided to up the number of bags that we're going to be making. And instead of making the 150, we're selling out so quickly. We've sold 115 already, and we just put it out like Monday. So 20 of the bags are going for the essential workers. So, and then we'll have 180 for us to sell. But we only have 65 left right now that are left. And we just really feel like it's really going to go over this weekend. We possibly could sell out. So if you want to get a bag, you should buy it now. You want to get it for anyone else, you should get it now. Another thing that has come up is I had asked last week about everyone contributing $25 to help with the support of the matching that we're giving to the vendors for their support of their product. And so if you have time to go on Venmo and put in that $25, that would just really help our budget. We're doing this a little bit differently this year than we've done in the past. In the past, the vendors have always donated all of their product. And this year we're trying to help them out a little bit. I've also got a few new vendors, including Brett Schuler. He's going to make some little mushroom tarts and put them in packages, and so those will be there. But Lost Coast Brewery has stepped up. There's just been a few extras that have stepped in, and I'm up to like 21 vendors now, and it's just turning out to be a really wonderful, successful event. So I'm really happy about it. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you to the team that are doing this. people want this. People want something warm and fuzzy and this event. And so it's going to be great. And the packages are going to be awesome. Maybe Lisa, well, shoot, our next meeting will be the 4th, right?
Yes, it'll be just before we pack them. So the plan is, so AJ sent out a sign up genius. We don't need that many people for packing, but the plan is like we're picking up everything the week of November 30th from all the vendors. And then on Saturday morning, we're meeting at the Griffin. We'll be packing them. And then we have a curbside pickup from 3 to 5, which I think there's a correction on the website. I think that says 3:30 to 5:30, but the poster says 3 to 5. So we need to correct that.
Okay.
But other than that, get your bags or your gift packages, because they're going to go quick.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. And could you bring one of them packaged up to the meeting on the 4th so we can show everybody just for fun? Yes. And if they're sold out, you'll see what you're missing. And if you bought one, you'll see what you're getting. All right. Thank you. And these are the vendors that I had listed before. I think I got most of them. So if you know these people, you see these people, thank these people. They're doing their bestest in really rough circumstances, and we want to support them. So, and I'll have this up again, so you don't have to. We're gonna raffle now. It's raffle time. Mr. Nick, there.
All right, so today's pot is $50, and we are gonna see if we have a big winner today. All right, so today's winner is Dick, because Dick likes to buy a lot of raffle tickets so that he wins. And $5. So I'll send that to you on Venmo, and good luck next time.
Thank you, Nick. Way to go. Yeah, Dick always wins. You have to play to win. I hardly ever get my name drawn because I forget to buy tickets, so I'm not mad about it. You gotta put the money in to get the money out. All right. Well, we are going to move now to our presentation. And Barb, do you want to introduce Dave? He did a little bit earlier, but do you want to what's it called?
Sure, I can. Okay, David, this is totally unpracticed, as you know. However, I have been working with David for a few months now. David came to our district through a contact down in the Sonoma Valley Rotary Club who mentioned that there was a project going on in the Navajo about water. And at the time, I really knew very, very little about it. So we started to talk back and forth with David from Sedona. And over the past few months, we've really established, I think, a great friendship. He is a wonderful guy, and I have watched him deliver the presentation you're about to see. We've done this presentation probably 6 or 7 times in our district. And every time I listen to David give this presentation, first of all, I learn something new. Second of all, I am just completely impressed with him as a Rotarian. And he makes me feel like this is what Rotary is about. It's people like David getting out there, getting involved in really important work, and giving the rest of us the opportunity to learn about it and see it. So he's just a fantastic, fantastic guy, and I think you're really going to enjoy this presentation. So pretty informal, David, but go for it.
Well, Barb, thank you so much. That was such a kind and overly kind introduction. And President Maggie, thank you very much for making some time for me today to talk about this project. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Let's see if I can get this so it'll work just right. Yeah, perfect. And Dustin, I just want to tell you, I'm sorry I'm not going to make the highway cleanup, but I hope you have a happy birthday anyway. But yes, Barb, and again, you've been such a great advocate, such a great friend through this entire process. And what we're really trying to do as much as possible is to spread the word and make people aware of water poverty issues that exist right here in our own country. And so I'm going to go through this, and Barb, I'm going to surprise you mid-presentation and ask you for some comments from your background in public health as well. But this is what I plan to talk about today. First of all, I want to talk about and make you aware of the Navajo Nation and the kind of the extent, the population there, the water poverty issues that exist there. Then I'm going to talk about the Dig Deep organization, which is an organization that has taken on this challenge and has been addressing it. Then I'm going to talk about what we've been doing in Rotary to try to address these issues and the current project that we're working on. So let me tell you a little bit about the Navajo Nation. It's an area about the size of West Virginia that is located in the Four Corners area of the Southwest. And that you can see that on the map there, where it's right where New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado meet. The Navajo Nation was established starting in 1868. You can see that right in the middle of the Navajo Nation, there's a donut hole there. That's the Hopi Nation. And while we work with the Navajo on their water issues, the Hopi have very similar issues. We've just had a relationship with the Navajo that has allowed us to make progress there, and we'll tell you a little bit about that. But that area, there's about 175,000 people. It's about the size of West Virginia, with 1/11 of the population of West Virginia. So it's very sparsely populated. And if you've ever driven through this area, you'll see that the homes are scattered around. And we'll talk about why that is, because there's a very specific reason for that. There's about, of that 175,000 people, there are about 70,000 people, about 40% of the Navajo, live without clean running water in their home. And while that shocks most people, I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know this until 4 years ago. And I live within 2 hours of the Navajo Nation. And I didn't know that there was this kind of water poverty in the United States, much less right here in my own district. 44% of the children on the Navajo Nation live in poverty based upon the last census, and there is nearly a 50% unemployment rate. And that was a figure that was calculated before they lost their two largest employers, a coal mine that closed, and an electric plant that was powered by that coal also closed. And so unemployment is just a terrible issue on the Navajo Nation as well. But these are some interesting statistics with regard to water poverty, and kind of give you some comparison, some perspective on water poverty on the Navajo Nation. The average American family uses 100 gallons of water per day. And what's interesting to keep in mind is that is single-use water. Once we use water typically for one purpose, it is discarded. The Navajo, on the other hand, live on a family of whatever the family size is. The average Navajo family lives on 7 gallons of water per day. So that's about 1/14 of what the average American family uses. Or if you think of what we use typically in one day, they have to make last for 2 weeks. And some interesting aspects to that. Number one is not turning on the spigots and they only have 7 gallons come out of the spigots each day. They have to go to town. They might drive 10, 20, 30 miles to gather water to last as long as they possibly can, bring it back in barrels, cans, buckets, anything they can put together, keep it outside their home, cover it to protect it from animals who might otherwise use their water source, and then bring it in the house periodically, and then use it multiple times before it is discarded. They may cook with it, and then use that water a second time to clean with, and then ultimately use it in their toilet, if they have an indoor toilet, to use to flush their toilet. So even that 7 gallons is being recycled multiple times in less and less critical usages, so that they can make the best use of the water. It's such a precious, precious resource. So let me tell you a little bit about why the water poverty issues are so difficult on the Navajo Nation. The United Nations typically will, what they do is they go around the world and they look at water issues and water poverty issues, and they examine how you can provide water and solve water poverty issues. And the United Nations has determined that in terrain, in the geology of areas like the Navajo Nation, these arid areas with the challenges they have that we're going to talk about, you can't have a traditional hub and spoke system where you drill a well and then pipe it out to critical locations to make it accessible, whether it's to the school or the hospital, a community center, or to a neighborhood so that people can access the water. That's not possible on the Navajo Nation, and we're going to describe why. Instead, what they have to have is a cistern system, and we're going to describe about how that is part of the solution with regard to providing water to the Navajo. Here are some of the challenges that the Navajo face in the Southwest. The first is caliche. Caliche is an almost impenetrable calcium carbonate rock. It covers the Southwest. It's present here in Sedona. It's present at the Grand Canyon. As a matter of fact, I had an official visit last year at the Grand Canyon Club, and they were all looking at me real funny when I was describing these cistern systems. They have to be an underground tank at the home, and they were looking at me funny, and because I was describing the problem on the Navajo Nation, and I said, why are the funny looks? I don't understand. And they said, that's what we do. We have the same caliche problem that they do. We have to have our water delivered to us. So that's one of the challenges, is the caliche. That prevents a hub and spoke system from piping the water out to the accessible locations. Next problem is sacred lands. These are the original sacred lands of the Navajo. The Navajo were repatriated from Oklahoma back to these lands when they signed a peace treaty with the United States. And the United States agreed to return them here. Well, they have sacred lands, and so it is not allowed to pipe, even if you could, across those lands. And there's canyons and arroyos. There's just challenges with regard to the geography here. Finally, there's the water, the weather issues. They have very harsh winters in this area. They live at between 6,000 and 10,000 feet. And so they have very harsh winters, which mean that you can't pipe water above ground. And the summers are so hot as well that you end up with a bacteria problem in the piping if they were above ground. So everything has to be underground. Again, you can't do that on the Navajo Nation. They also live in a matriarchal clan-based society, which means that when a Navajo man and a Navajo woman marry, they will live on the wife's mother's clan land. And when they go to find a place to live on the clan's land, there's what they call a grazing manager. Most of the Navajo maintain their own livestock to provide milk and meat for the family. And the grazing manager is responsible for making sure that the livestock of those who live in the clan land do not compete with one another. I was told by the leaders of the Navajo chapter, where we're going to talk about in Dilcon, that each head of cattle requires 50 acres. It's such an arid land. That's the only way they can have those cattle survive, is to have 50 acres for themselves. So that's why the Navajo start to really disperse and live out away from one another. You might have them living out by a beautiful formation over here, and out here by an arroyo or a canyon. And that's why they live separated, is so that their cattle and their livestock have the opportunity to graze. The final problem is really a tragic one, and that is in the 50s and 60s, the United States government that holds the land that the Navajo live on in trust for the Navajo, the United States government discovered that there was uranium on Navajo lands. And you'll see the map here with all those red dots. Those are locations where there was uranium mining or a uranium waste site that was left after the uranium mining was done. And what's happened, unfortunately, with that uranium mining is that has polluted the most accessible source of water, which you'd find at about 500 feet, give or take 100 feet underground. So if you drilled a well, got that deep, you would find water, but it's so polluted, it can't be used for human consumption. Now, by the way, the Navajo, because they're so desperate for water, will typically allow their animals to use that water. A lot of those wells existed from back in the 50s and 60s, again, so polluted that the Navajo are not supposed to use them, but they need to provide water to their animals. And it's suspected that the high incidence of cancer on the Navajo Nation is a result of the pollution and what the animals are eating, are drinking, and then they're drinking the milk and eating the meat from those animals. So on the Navajo Nation, since that is not potable water for human consumption, they have to keep drilling down, and you'll hit water again, typically at about 1,000 to 1,500 feet. The last well, just to show you what a problem it is with regard to the caliche and the challenges of drilling, the last well they drilled on the Navajo Nation cost $1.2 million. And that was just a single point. That's no piping or anything else. That is just a single point to draw water to the surface so that Navajo can go to that source, collect water to take it home. So obviously it is a huge problem. And Barb, this is why you said something yesterday that really touched me with regard to the implications of the pollution with regard to life on the Navajo Nation. I wondered if you'd share some of the context here on the impact of that pollution. Sure, I can do that quickly for us. So when uranium is mined, when it's mined and processed, the waste products are called tailings. And so for many, many years, there were these tailing sites all throughout the Navajo Nation. So there's a lot of water involved, so they're very wet. And it's created this exposure to uranium for the population that was really significant. And there have also been, and it's never gone away. So those AUMs, or abandoned uranium mines, they're still in place on the surface. And so the consequences for that, for the people who live there, is that they have much higher levels of uranium in their bodies. They have higher frequencies of cancer. And then they have, when you think about that, the cascade effect of that, when you look at what that does to mothers having children, and we all love babies and kids. So when you think about what happens to the kids when they're exposed basically in utero to uranium and what happens to their development. There's a study right now that's being done by the University of New Mexico. It's called the Navajo Birth Cohort Study. And it's a study that is looking at mothers and babies. It started out as the first year of life, and the baby developmental impacts of exposure to uranium for that first year. And they've just extended the study to watch those babies through year 5. And when we think about, that first 5 years of life and the importance for our whole lives of being able to develop cognitively in a good way so we can go to school and we can learn. So all of the repercussions of this negative uranium effect are just rippling through that entire population. So it's when you think about all of the things that are impacted by this lack of water, especially for kids, and we all love kids, you just really, really want to do something about it. I think that one of the reasons that we work on water in Rotary and as one of our areas of focus is one of those systemic issues that keeps a people from reaching their full potential, for advancing themselves. And so that's why the water is so important. And as Barb is pointing out, the implications of having the polluted water and animals that have been drinking that is just it compounds the issues here. Well, the organization that has that we discovered back in about 2015 is addressing this issue is called Dig Deep. They're out of the Los Angeles area. Very interesting story with regard to the individual who started this. But they were a group that was drilling in Africa. And they discovered through a potential donor that there was actually water poverty in the United States, and they were encouraged to look into it. They did. They found that there are actually 2.2 million people in the United States that live without clean running water in their home. There's some in Appalachia, the Louisiana area, but the largest concentration of people living without clean running water are on the Navajo Nation. The Dig Deep organization happened to have had a Navajo on their staff, a native-speaking Navajo who had grown up in Tuba City. And so she was very familiar. She could speak the language. They connected with the Navajo, explored the problem, and have taken on the issue of trying to bring clean running water to homes on the Navajo Nation. As you'll see on the slide here, they're the sole U.S. nonprofit operating in the United States under WASH protocols of UNICEF and the World Health Organization. So I'm going to jump into exactly how these systems work because they're unique. And this was a little bit hard to convince the Rotary Foundation that this type of water project should be funded. But we have funded 3 with the Rotary Foundation, but they had to change their definition of what a sustainable water project was. The Rotary Foundation typically looks for that hub and spoke system because they see that as sustainable. But as the United Nations has determined, the only way to provide water in the kind of geology and geography and the situation of the Navajo, this arid territory, is to put in cisterns at the home, as I mentioned. So these are home-based systems, and you'll see in the picture there that the 1,200-gallon tank is installed underground at the home to keep it deep enough to keep it away from the cold during the winter and the heat during the summers to keep that water safe and available for the home. They install solar panels as well to run the pump, to pump the water into the home. And one thing that's interesting, if you've ever, again, driven through the Navajo Nation, you realize that there are a lot of manufactured homes. It could be trailers, very frequently old trailers, or manufactured homes that are plumbed and wired, but they've never been hooked to anything. I spoke to a woman through an interpreter up on the Navajo Nation the last time I was up there, a woman who had lived for 4 decades without water or electricity in her home. So, I mean, the challenges are just huge. The solar panels not only power the pump, they typically will provide a little bit of excess electricity so the children will have some lights to help do their homework. They might have enough for a television so they can stay informed of what's going on. Obviously very important during an outbreak of COVID that they've had on the Navajo Nation as well. The installations cost about $4,500 per home. And what happens is once the installation is complete, water trucks come around and fill those tanks about every 3 to 4 weeks. And what typically happens is the school bus drivers who pick the kids up in the morning and drop them off in the afternoon, in between times, they'll drive water trucks around on a very similar route to fill the water tanks at the home. By the way, the individuals without water have to apply for these systems. We don't just install them at every home as a community water system. There are some of the Navajo, unfortunately, that just do not want anyone to come on their land for reasons that you can imagine over the years, and the feeling of just that they just don't want to have that involvement of outsiders. Financial support is available. The Navajo Nation keeps a reserve so that those tanks don't go dry. There's a lot of unemployment. They do have to pay for the water. The water's more expensive than the water I get in Sedona. And that's because of the delivery system, having to maintain those trucks, having to hire truck drivers, replace the trucks periodically, and so on. So that is all figured into the $4,500 original cost, as well as setting aside the reserve that will provide support should someone not have the resources to pay for the water. And the result, we absolutely transform lives and give them an opportunity to reach their full potential. Just a quick snapshot of what we've been doing in District 5495. We had a couple Rotarians who saw a PBS special on this issue back in 2015 and said, a water project, you know, within driving distance, right here in our own district, we've got to take this to the Rotary Foundation and get this funded. And as I mentioned, the Rotary Foundation really pushed back on that. And it took a lot of persistence going to the United Nations to pull out the research that they had done, draw on the conclusions they had drawn to convince the Rotary Foundation that indeed the only way that Rotary was ever going to be able to help these individuals, these people, to have water is to support the cistern system of delivery of water in the way that Dig Deep is doing it. We have done, as I mentioned, completed three global grants, at least the funding of which. The third global grant was completed last year, 2019. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, and I should point out, you may have seen some exposés, some documentaries on this issue. The Navajo Nation had the worst per capita outbreak in the world, worse than New York and New Jersey back when they were in the news all the time. The Navajo Nation per capita was even worse than that. The Navajo Nation has gone through 57-hour lockdowns during weekends. They do 8 p.m. curfews. They finally were able to get the incidence of COVID-19 down to almost zero. And suddenly they've had another spike where the daily cases are in the hundreds again on the Navajo Nation. They have reinstituted stay-at-home orders. It's been a real challenge. And for us, with regard to installing these water systems, we've been on pause since March, sitting on funds from the Navajo Nation, from the Rotary Foundation and from clubs and districts right now. We are poised and ready to go back and install as many as we can. We're working in the Dilcon community, which is about, if you know Winslow, Arizona, the song standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. We're working about 45 minutes from Winslow in the Dilcon community. And get this, this is a community of about 2,000 total people, and over 300 of the homeowners have applied for these water systems. When you do the math there, you realize that it's almost everyone in the community that needs a water system and access to water. We are in our fourth, as I mentioned, effort to raise funds and raise awareness for clubs and districts of this tragedy right here in our own country. My own club, the Rotary Club of Sedona, is the host club for this particular project. We're raising funds and getting commitments from clubs who are interested in supporting and trying to help us deal with this human tragedy. Here's the information with regard to the global grant and so on. I'd be happy to talk with any of your leaders or committees if they're interested in pursuing this. But the main thing that Barb and I are out trying to do is to raise awareness with regard to this issue, because we typically don't think of there being a water poverty issue in the United States. It just seems almost inconceivable, but it does exist. I know I've only left you a couple minutes, but if you do have questions, I'd be happy to answer them either now or offline if that would be better for the group.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Barb. Yeah, there will be questions, but before we go to that, I wanted to turn it over to Charlie Jordan, who is the co-chair of our World Community Services Committee. She has something to say. Hopefully. Charlie?
Charlie's on mute.
Right, there she comes.
You can hear me?
Yeah, but you're going to have to speak up.
Okay. So my pleasure to, as representative of our club's World Community Service Committee, is to announce that we have approved $1,500 for this project.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. It really does.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Rotary at work.
Yes.
Great job.
So we'll get that information, you know, that you had on the screen. I would maybe Dave, you can email that to me, and then we'll make sure that we send the money to the right place. And I have to say that the World Community Services Committee is giving that money, but that was money that this club raised with all of our new antics this year, our new new fundraisers and just creativity. And so everybody here is a piece of that. And I'm just really, really pleased that we were able to do this today. So it is 8 o'clock. Because of the nature of this, people can stay on and chat more. I'm not going to turn the meeting off. I'd love to have anybody ask you questions if they have them, but I want to at least formally end the meeting. But before I do that, I want to thank you both officially, and we will be making donations in your name to a local group called Tri-County Independent Living that works with people with disabilities and advocates for them, works to help them in the community. And so we're going to do that in both of your names, and we really appreciate you being here today and everyone else for being here today. So with that, I'm going to formally end the meeting. I invite people to stay and ask questions. Thank you again. Have a good week and have a good, remember that Thanksgiving's not about the food. It's about how the Native Americans very selflessly supported and helped people who came to this country looking for a better life. And the irony of that, hearing what we heard today and hearing what these people are living with the uranium mines, that needs to be part of our Thanksgiving thoughts as well. So it's important. So have a good week, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.